Welcome back. Tell me, review the 5 levels for me. What did you learn this morning? Anything resonate with you? Do you remember me, first of all? You saw me earlier? Okay, good. Woo, that was a close one, huh? Yeah. I saw a bunch of people go, who is this guy? Give me something. Any ahas this morning or interestings or oh my moments? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sort of what you mentioned with the level 2 comes easy. Level 3 is a conscious effort every day to make sure you can move past the relationship.
Good. So he's saying that the point I made about some of us find level 2 really easy. That would be me. Who are my relationship people? Again, remind me. Okay, for us, we love this. Level 2, are you kidding me? Level 3, not so much. I got to really work at that. But then who are my task people? Saying, wow, level 3, I can't wait to get there. And I've actually heard a level 3, a task person say, I am so glad that relationship building is over. So we can get down to work. And actually, when I do the workshop, I have people declare, and then I have all the task people stand up, and all the relationship people sit down, and I ask them, what is it you hate about these relationship people? And then they freak out. But then I switch it and say, what is it you hate about these task people? And we have a little fun with it, but I really want to make the point, to your point, is I've got to be intentional about there's 5 levels, and although I'm good at one, I cannot camp out there. I have got to work through that. And if I'm a task, I cannot skip that. I have to go through that. And once I get to level 3, no matter how I got there as a task or relationship, I have to make sure I keep level 2 in play. Always remembering, you never leave a level behind. Thank you. Good one. What else? Anything else this morning? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so the 3 questions that every follower is asking.
Okay, hang on a second. But before you go with your point, there were 3 questions that every follower is asking. That's a good test question. Anybody remember what they were? Okay, yes, sir. Can you help me? Do you care about me? Can I trust you? Good, okay, go.
And so the thing that resonated with me about those is a realization that I've been is you don't necessarily all the time have to satisfy all 3 for every person. You can use the power of I guess you could say rumor mill is if I have a positive impact on 1 or 2 in a group, that word gets out in one area. And using that to your advantage as a leader in terms of, because you can't hit all those for everybody every single day, but people talk, right? So, oh yeah, did you hear what the boss did? Yeah, he stepped in and did this thing for me. That's also equally powerful. So when I heard you say those 3 questions, great, awesome to remember, very, very helpful day to day, but also letting the information amongst your work group can work to your advantage as well.
Yeah, good. Good. Everybody hear that? So it's really, I like that, saying the concept of the 3 questions, I want to be consistent in that, but I can't do it for everybody every day. That's probably unreasonable. But if I do it for some, one of my friends says, do for some what you wish you could do for all. So he's always doing something, and like you said, the rumor mill works. It works at high speed when it's negative. It works a little slower when it's positive, but it does work. And so you don't want to be the negative, because it will. Did you hear what that jerk boss of ours did? That, for some reason, makes it around really fast. But then they said, you know what he did for me was he knew that my kid was playing ball, and he came and insisted that I get out of the office early and go to that game. I mean, that just shows that he cares about it. He knew that my kid was playing ball. I had that happen one time. A guy was not leaving. I said, why are you here? He said, well, we don't get off until like 5:30. Dude, get. And he took off. He didn't realize that it was okay, that I really care enough about his family that I want him to be at his boys' game. Think about all the games I might have missed and think, how can I help him do that? So, yeah, good one. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So one of the things that I come to realize is when you started the conversation, it was 5 levels, which to me suggested 5 distinct levels with their own entry and exit points. When you got done with the conversation, what I realized is it's one single system that you kind of float up and down, depending on who you're talking to at the moment, what issue you have at the moment, and what problem or you're trying to solve.
Okay, good. He said it looks like a ladder. But it's really a complex system that you kind of, on a continuum that you're kind of moving on. I'll tell you the biggest, I think I started to tell this morning, but I got distracted and said something else. I didn't come back to it. But someone in a class once asked me, very seriously, hey, Perry, how long should I stay at level 2 building relationships before I start worrying about starting results? Dude, if you don't start with results right away, you're not going to be here long. I mean, what am I going to say? Just 6 weeks of relationship building, then worry about results. You're fired. I mean, there's no way. I realized that how people could, to your point, you can really think like, oh, I've got to stay at level 2, and then I'll step up to level 3. No, you actually come in on day 1 aiming for level 3, but the only way you're going to be long-term successful there is you realize that you cannot lean on your level 1, that you're the boss, because you cannot sustain that because people just don't like that. But if you can say, we got to get results, and right now you don't know me, but I'm going to get to know you. And over time, that level 2 kicks in, but you're still going for level 3. And then you'll notice that level 3 really accelerates. That momentum I talked about at level 3 really kicks in when people said, I like this person. I want to be here. This is fun. It's hard, and there's stress, but we're together. And all of a sudden you know that you've gotten to level 3. If I had the definition, level 3 definition is that people know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we have a history with each other. We've spent time with each other. Level 2 is, I'm just getting to know you and your strengths and weaknesses. Level 3 is, we've been tested by time and hard things together to do that. So, great point. Thank you. Anything else this morning? Yes, thank you.
I know we talked about this earlier, but is it, the term leadership and looking, I think what John Maxwell said, the term influence, and I was thinking, well, if I'm passionate about something and I see something I want to achieve and I got the goal and I'm working hard towards it, then other people see that me just trying to do that, want to be part of that success, I'm creating influence over somebody, and then those relationships kind of just come about by that person wanting the same thing.
Wanting to be there, attracted. Leadership. Yes, leadership is so much about attraction. The law of attraction is that when we attract things and people that want to be a part of what we're doing. But you mentioned there's a passion, there's a buy-in that says, I want to be, whatever you're doing, I want to do that. I get a number of people say, I want to do what you do. I said, great. I know I look like an overnight success. It just took 20 years. Let's talk about how this process works. And that's what people want to, they want to know how to get on your team, how to have success, how to be a part of what you're doing. Very good. Anything else? Yes, thanks.
I really like your resonate with me how you said shouldn't be lonely at the top.
Yeah, don't be lonely at the top. Yeah.
I thought that was a good metaphor on how we should all be bringing people with us along the way. I think it works well with Perry too.
So he says we all should be taking people with us. Tell me in your world, what would that look like? Can you give me an example of taking someone with you? In the leadership journey, how can you bring someone along? Yes.
Well, one of the phrases that's common on project teams and availability is all have to get there to win, right? And so that would be one of those, everybody arrives at the finish line. Everybody has to be successful for any one person to be successful.
Yeah. Give me something real about some in your day-to-day. Yes, go ahead.
We have bi-weekly, every 2 weeks we have chief test engineer meeting. All the chief test engineers get together, and a few of us bring our assistants, our ACTs, to that meeting to see what's going on, so they understand what they have to do to be ready to come up with the chief test engineer. Also to help them understand how they can help us.
Yeah, I love that. So that fits into your, bringing everybody to the finish line and said, I'm inviting you along the journey. I think we don't do that enough. I personally did not until I saw this executive take me to a senior meeting, told me to keep my mouth shut, but observe. And I love that because when we came back, I said, what were they really got all angry about. Is that an anger? Do you guys yell like that at each other? He goes, no, that was a little different, but it's not anger. It's they're defending their position. And so you better be prepared at the high levels of this company. If you're going to come here, you better be prepared to defend your position. So we had a whole conversation on how do you properly defend a position to do that. Yes, sir.
I think I would argue that there's a culture at the leadership level to keep groups small, and you've got to break that first. The leadership has to say, hey, I want folks bringing their next in line.
That's a good point.
Deputies and that sort of thing, because otherwise, principles only. How often have you heard principles
Yeah,
only?
yeah.
Okay, and that drives against what
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You need to have that support at the top. He's saying that a principal, not just principals only, you can invite someone along, but it is a bit of a culture view of we want to have a leadership culture. Well, how do we build more leaders? We invite them to the table. Now, they may not participate, but they can learn along the way. And it's not always appropriate. I mean, I've been to, can I go to that meeting? No, it's not appropriate. They were talking HR things that I shouldn't be hearing and some issues. But there are some good operational meetings that I got to attend that helped me understand that I don't want to do that. So I quit. But that was, I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. But I didn't quit the company. I just said, I went home and told my wife, I said, you know what? Somehow I have gotten promoted so far past what I'm great at, I just need to make a change. And she said, baby, do whatever you need to do. So I went in the next day and said, I want to teach leaders how to lead inside the IBM company, mostly sales managers and sales executives. They said, we'd love to have you do that. And about 3 months later, my wife said, what happened to your paycheck? I said, you told me to chase my dream. You didn't tell me it was going to cost us money. So my dream was up for sale that day, I could tell. So I saw another hand. Was there somebody else? Yes, ma'am, thank you. Right, good. Transparency, openness of objectives. What are our outcomes? What are we aiming to do? What are we trying to do? How are we doing? Just that measurement and progress type of thing that help people know that they're a part of it. I'm involved. You need me. Right. I said this morning that there was a number one learning about the 5 levels that my neighbor in the middle of my mailbox coaching business. Anybody remember the number one learning? You're on a different level with every single person in your circle of influence. So never be thinking that you've made it to a 3 or a 2. You may be a 2 with me, but you may be a 3 with your colleague. You may be a 4 with someone else whom you're investing in to do that. So this was a very key piece for me to say, we all want to think that my neighbor wanted to say, yeah, I'm a 4. I'm definitely a strong 4. With who? Or with whom? Whom? I never get that. But you're with someone, not with everyone. Could be with everyone, I doubt it. So where are you? At home, at work, in the community, you're influencing all the time, positively or negatively. Where are you with people? And once you know that, then you can start thinking, well, I'm definitely, I didn't bring this up this morning, but you've been a successful leader for 5 years. You're level 3 and 4 with everybody on your team. And on Monday, you get a new hire. What level are you with the new hire? 1. You've been really successful and you got promoted. You moved over to another building in the local area and you get an entirely new team, but you've been operating at 3 and 4. What level are you on Monday? 1. The bad news is you're back to a 1. The good news is you know what that means. And rule 1 about level 1 is get out of it as quickly as possible. So what do? Start making relationships and start understanding while generating results. One thing that didn't come up, I didn't use the word this morning, I don't think, but it's become one of my favorite words around this. We're talking level 2. And you remember level 2 is about, I moved it, but it's about permission. The word permission meaning that people give you permission to be their leader. They give you permission to influence them. It's a big deal. It's a lot different from level 1 where I have the right to tell you what to do. At level 2, you're actually giving me something, a gift, a permission to be the leader. Level 2 is about the relationships, but one word that I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, and it was connect. I understand I want to make relationships, but what I've really been focused on for me personally was how do I connect with people? How do I connect with someone on my team or connect with someone in my neighborhood?
So when you brought that up, it kind of brought me back to a book that's called The 5 Languages of Love.
That was, yep.
What works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else. And when you talked about the meetings that they wanted you to go to, and
Right.
to your boss, that's
Quality time, yeah.
for somebody else. So that's what that brought around for me is that understanding what the other person needs, not what yourself.
Yeah, so 35 years ago or so, Gary Chapman and some other researchers did some research called the 5 love languages. It was mainly around marriages and having, the big learning was, and I got this the hard way from a marriage counselor who I thought was a complete idiot, who said, you have a love language problem. How much am I paying you? But that's normally what guys do when we go to counselors. I just want to let you know, I'm normal. However, when I looked into that, I found that they were exactly right. It's actually very foundationally researched, very deep. But it says that you mainly show love to someone the same way that you receive love. So my love language is words of affirmation. I already told you that. I want you tell me I'm doing good, that you encourage me, man, I will run through a wall. I love that. Just tell me I did good. So how am I at home? I'm telling my wife, you're doing good, sweetie. Keep those meals coming. Keep that house clean. You're really knocking it out of the park, darling. Way to go. Well, her love language was acts of service. So she actually is, by taking care of the home and the kids and the meals, is trying to show love to me through those acts of service. But I said, why can't you just sit down and tell me how great I am? And she said, why can't you get off your butt and do something? And I realized this is the problem. Fast forward 20 years from that foundational research, and the same people, Chapman and the researchers, went into the workplace and did the same survey again. And it's called The 5 Languages of Appreciation. You can buy the book, it's fantastic. But it is about taking the same 5, acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, tangible gifts, physical touch. They had a little trouble with physical touch in the workplace. So when I teach this, I normally take that off because actually when you look at the ratings and the percentages of people, physical touch is the lowest of the 5. And in the workplace, all that means is could be a handshake, a fist bump, a pat on the shoulder, could be an appropriate hug in some situations, but you obviously have got to be very careful with that. Let's just take that off. But then I started looking at the other 4 and saying, how do I figure out who the people on my team, how do they, because I'm showing it through words of affirmation, because that is me. So I'm always telling people how great they're doing. Until I saw my friend Jim blow a gasket when somebody told him how great he was doing. I hate that crap. What? And I just couldn't believe it. Now I think, how do I learn this about people? Number one way, watch how they show appreciation to you, because that's normally their language. But if they went to a trade show and they bring you some little trinket, say, I thought about you when I saw this key ring, tangible gifts. And if they come in and say, boss, I don't want to tell you, you made my life so you're doing a great job, words of affirmation. And if they come to you and say, you want to come meet with my team and come sit in our team meeting and be a part of what? Quality time. So you can start to see patterns that you coming up in those things. So when I think about how do I connect with people, that's a big one. What else when I say connect? What do you think? Connecting with people. What? Connectors in the room? Finding something in common. We were talking earlier about, are there things that you know that they like and you can do that? Anything else when you think I'm going to really go connect with someone, either on my team, one of my peers? Boy, empathy is a big word. How does that? Let me tell you, I showed you my boat with the rowers, watchers, and sinkers. The same people that did that research came back 2 years later, did the research again, and the engagement was still 3 rowing, 5 watching, 2 sinking. But they did another piece of research, and it came out that said the number 1 skill of a high engagement leader. Well, I just couldn't wait to open this and see what it was, hoping it wasn't clickbait trying to get me to see something else, and it was empathy. Have an empathetic communication style. Help me with that. What is an empathetic, I'll let you go. What's an empathetic communication style? What do you think?
You understand what they're going through.
Understand what they're going through, what they're feeling. So concerned for where you are. Yes, it has a lot to do with how you speak and how you act. I just heard a really good one here that said, can you learn someone's story? Now, without becoming emotionally involved. It's funny, I just had a guy on a coaching call yesterday. He's a CEO of a bank and here, nearby. I just got him as a client, and we're talking about this level 2, building relationships and learning someone's story. He goes, I don't really want to know all that stuff. I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, the closer I get, the more they're going to want from me. And the more they want from me, the more personal it gets. I don't want to know about all their emotional stuff. I said, okay, I get that. So we talked about a word that took me a long time to learn called boundaries. But I want to, there's got to be a boundary around things. So there is some emotional and there's some issues. But I also want to know where that boundary is so I don't stay too far away from it. I want to know, how can I get to know you? How can I connect with you? How can I know your story? And what am I listening for? I'm listening for how you can add value to this organization, how you can feel fulfilled, how your purpose can connect with our purpose so that you are rowing. That discretionary effort just flows from you because you want to be here to do that. So when we talk about connecting, it's a big deal for me. I'm really studying it and writing about it a lot, figuring out what are the things we do day in, day out. I just wrote an article. I wonder what you think about this. Are there things you do as a leader that can make somebody feel like an insider or an outsider? Think about that for a moment. You do something that makes me feel, have you ever felt like you were an outsider? I walked into a pub to get dinner in Dublin, Ireland, and it felt like an episode of Cheers, but nobody yelled Norm. The music stopped, everybody turned and looked. It's an American. I thought I was scared for a moment, and they went back to work. I thought, well, that wasn't great. I felt like an outsider. Now this is not going to be as much fun as I thought it was. Versus if I walk in and somebody said, hey, come sit over here with us, and we'll buy you a beer, and come here, tell us, what's going on in America? What's this Trump guy? What's all going on? They all want to talk about that. Now I feel like an insider, and it can be that. What do we do as leaders that make people feel like outsiders, you think? I've been interested in this. Can you think of something you might do that makes somebody feel like an outsider? They don't know what's going on. Back to your point, you're just in your little shiny office. I have no idea what's going on here. Or somebody else on the team does, and I didn't. That's even worse. Yeah, go ahead. Don't ask for input. I don't need your input. I got all this. Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you. What would outsider body language look like? Closed. Yeah. What do you want? And close your. I hadn't thought about that a lot. That's good. Yes. Thank you. Lack of an open door. So was that a closed door policy? No. I'm kind of a glass half full, glass half empty kind of guy. You know what the word I love? Approachable. Are you approachable? No matter how big titled you are is it an open door? Can I approach you? Do you feel like you can come see me? If you're closed, not approachable. I saw another one. Yeah? Yes? Not meaningful work. They're just, it's just fringe stuff and it's not meaningful. Yes, sir? Not keeping your commitments. They feel like you're not with me. I think it's interesting when you're starting to build a relationship, level 2, people are watching you. How often? All the time. And they pick up on things about how much you care. How much are you trying to help me? And how much do you know my story? I love that one, is saying, can I just know a little bit about your story? I had a boss once. She lived in Seattle. I live in Atlanta. We had a call every Monday morning at 11, which was 8 to her, 11 to me. And she started asking about the Atlanta Falcons football. And how did the Falcons do yesterday on Sunday afternoon? I had no idea, but I started getting this question every week, so I would Google it before the call to make sure I know if the Falcons won or lost. And so I realized later, after she promoted me, when we were on, I became a peer to her. We were talking. I said, "Were you into the NFL?" She goes, "Well, I love the Seattle Seahawks." I go, "Wow, okay, that explains." She goes, "What? You were always asking me about the Falcons, and I just didn't care. But you kept going there every week." He goes, "Well, I was just trying to connect." I went, "Oh, okay." So finding commonality, even if if it's not there. We're going to connect over football, Big Daddy. I go, yeah, it's going to happen. I'm buying season tickets next year for the Falcons. No, I'm not. Okay. All right. Where do we want to go here? I want to ask you about this. John Maxwell teaches that great leaders, he has a book on this topic. If I had a dime for every time I've said that, I'd be rich. So John has a book called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And I wonder, what are your thoughts about great questions? What do great questions have to do with being a good leader? And we're really around this level 2 area of building relationships. You can kind of fit it there, but I wanted the bigger picture. Why would the title of the book, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. What do you think? It empowers people? How so? Rather than telling, okay, good. So the opposite of telling is drawing it. Ownership, yeah.
I was just going to say, if you have a good question, it's the question that you're asking to the person requires them to think hard about that answer. So if you're asking a good question, if it's just a question that really doesn't make you think much, you're like, but if he's asking you a question where you're trying to, dive deep and, man, how do I answer this question? And it involves a lot of thought.
Yeah.
It might even require you to go out and do some research.
Right. Yes.
I think it provides, you are indirectly providing guidance and passing down knowledge in developing the individual by asking good questions.
So you're providing knowledge and guiding, you said guiding them through your questions. That's good. Yes, sir, thank you. Yeah, good. Yes, thank you.
Circling back, great question, shows you care and is a way of making somebody feel like an insider.
Makes them feel like an insider, makes me feel important, makes me feel relevant. I'll tell you the bad part about doing back-to-back workshops like this is I'm going to tell you a story that you just triggered when you said that, but now I'm wondering, did I tell you or was that the last group? So if I've already said this, somebody throw your hand up and I'll just move on. You were not going to hurt my feelings. But I had a boss, the most high-level senior executive guy I ever worked for at IBM. He was up in New York, up in the thin air with all the high-level execs. And he was the one that invited me to go to meetings and things. But he had a way around a conference table that had the whole team there, and he would tell us a vision or a strategy that we were going to do. And then he looked at me, and he would do it to anybody, but he did, on this day, he did it to me. He said, "Perry, what do you think?" And I said, "I think what you think, boss. What do you think?" I thought it was kind of cute, got a little chuckle just like that around the table. He didn't chuckle. He leaned in and said, "Could I give you a tip?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love a tip." He said, "If you and I think the same thing, one of us won't be necessary, and it won't be me." Thought that was a pretty good tip, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, you got a chuckle there too. Yeah. Except this time I didn't chuckle. We had a longer discussion back at his office later about that. However, what I learned and what I teach, I put it on my teams, and now that I coach teams, I'm going to tell you, you should do. If you have a meeting, a conference call, or a gathering about a subject, you should require everyone on your team to have a point of view. Have thought about it and come with a point of view. Because what he was asking and what he would later tell me was that all of us is smarter than one of us. If our success is dependent on my brain alone, he would say, we're in trouble. He goes, I'm not the smartest person in the room. I have a tip for you. He was the smartest person in the room, but he wouldn't play the card. Now, what do you think that did to the rest of us? Made us put our oars down or put our oars in the water? He said, you better be prepared to row because I can't see everything. What do you know that I don't know? What would you do? Now, does that mean he took all of our advice? Almost never. But he wanted to make sure, there were times, but almost never, that and I had somebody tell me, well, if I ask them what they think, I'll have to do what they say. No, you don't. Most people just want to know that you care, that you're interested in what I think. And by doing that, you made me an insider, and I feel valued. And I'm going to row for that, do that. So that was a great lesson for me, is saying that if you don't have, he actually said, if you don't have a point of view, don't come to the meeting or the conference call. And if you miss more than 2 for that reason, I don't need you. Look for a job. Whoa. So now now we get into these debates and people say, well, here's what I think. Well, here's what I think. I think now, and he's just smiling because that's what he wanted. He wanted debate. He wanted to say, test me on this. And I want owners, not hired hands. I need people that are thinking like they own this thing, not just me. I'm telling you, most of you, when you're starting as a leader, most people look at you like you're supposed to have all the answers. And John Maxwell actually teaches from going to level 1 to 2, is that one of the things is to get used to saying, I don't know. That floored me. Don't they think, aren't you supposed to know? You're the leader. Well, just saying you don't know doesn't mean you don't know. It's inviting them to know. I love that. I'm trying to connect with you. I want to show you how valued you are. You're not anonymous to me. We're making progress. Lean in to do that. All right, let's move. Take out your cards. You have your Altoid box there? You should have a deck of cards. There should be 3 cards in the back there that kind of like jokers. You can put those back in the box. You don't need those right now. This is a deck. Oh, anybody need some? Go. Yeah, thank you. I need C1 right there. Appreciate your help. There's another one over here. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you doing that. First test, just if you can get the cellophane off. That's a. Need one more? 2 more? Here's what I'd love for you to do. I would love for you to go through these one at a time and make 3 stacks in front of you. One that you consider, when you look at it, you say, yes, that's me, that resonates with me, it's a high value in my life. I would like the second stack to be kind of a medium. I could see it, I like it, not sure I live by it, but I like it. And the low one is, I don't even know why it's a value. It's not a good and bad. There are no bad values in the deck. They're all good. But some of them are going to resonate with you and some aren't. So a high, medium, low. Can I get you to look right here a minute before you start sorting? Why, when we do this, I should have said this before we gave you the instructions. Why are we doing this? Why do values matter in leadership? Why would we even do this exercise? What's values got to do with leadership? Shape the decisions. They'll know what? So you'll know what the leader's about. Alignment. How you need to improve yourself. So we agreed this morning, I thought I saw 100% head shaking, that we agreed that people are watching you all the time. When I said, what are they watching for? We agreed that it could be your behaviors, your actions, your reactions, your consistencies. Your behaviors are driven by your values. And so when we do this exercise in the workshop, it's at level 1. Before we go to level 2, we do this exercise right at the last part of level 1. And it's to say, people are watching you to determine, am I going to give you permission to be my leader? And what are they watching for? Your behaviors. Your behaviors are driven by your values. So now, I would love for you to make your 3 stacks, high, medium, low. There's not good and bad. They're all good. You want to stay away from aspirational values. I wish that was true about me. It may not be. So we'll test it in a moment. But go ahead and make 3 stacks, high, medium, low. I laughed. All right, 3 stacks, highs, mediums, lows. I was just telling them I see this exercise a lot, and some people are like a Las Vegas card dealer. They do it kind of quick, and some people it's weeping and gnashing of teeth. I don't know about this one. And I know that it can go both ways. It can be hard, it can be easy. I'm trying to break down why it's harder for some than for others. Most of us don't think of these things, so it might be a first time through something like this for some of you. I know I took a little longer on mine. How long do we go in this? 3? Yeah, that's what. Stop asking questions. If the bell goes off, you're done. Okay, I got it. All right, we got 3. Take your the low stack, and go ahead and put it back in the box. And if you'd like to look through your medium stack and rescue anybody that you think, oh, I might throw that over in the high stack, go ahead and rescue them now. And if not, you can throw the medium stack back in the box. So you should be left with 1 stack. And if you get down to the what? Yeah, I was going to say, if you get down to the 1 stack, count your cards for me. There is no right or wrong number. No, it's not at all. So 1 stack and count them. Everything else back in the box. How many of you have more than 10? More than 15? More than 20? More than 25? Okay. I usually see between 18 and 25. Occasionally there's somebody with 9 that is very clear on that, which makes the next part really easy for them, because I'd like for you to take your cards now, your stack down to 10. See if you can sort down to the top 10. I want you to be thinking about, people are watching you, would they see this? Not something you aspire to, but that you do. There's the 10-minute warning. That's a 10-minute warning, right? Is it a 5-minute warning? Don't tell me that. 10? Okay, thank you. Whew. This is when people start saying, you know, integrity and honesty are a lot alike. And nobody wants to be the person that put family back in the box, but it's going to happen. I've been there. Yeah. Family went in the box on the first round. I left it in the cellophane. What, are you kidding me? All right, everybody down to 10? We getting close? All right, I think most people. Good. All right. Self-indictment. Well, I saw somebody else trying to pick one of yours a minute ago. You had confidence. He goes, no, I don't think so. All right, here's what I'd like you to do. Take it down to 5. That will be the last cut. I won't ask you to go any lower than 5, but see if you can pick the top 5 for you that somebody might see. Let me see your 5. There it is. Good. Fantastic. Good job. All right, we got 5. Here's what I'd like you to do. If you can take your 5, where's my button? I want you to, normally I would ask you to get up and go walk around, but we don't have time for that. So just next to somebody with you, you can do 2s or 3s. We probably don't have time to get into it a lot. But I would like for you to pick one. It doesn't have to be your number 1, but just one that's meaningful to you. I'd love for you to just do, it's a really short little explanation. It says, one of my values is, the reason it's important to me is, and the way you would see this with me would be this. So one of the ones that I picked on my top 5, I said one of my top values is growth. The reason it's important to me is because in the work that I do and the passion that I have about wanting to help people grow and improve, I cannot give what I do not have. So I have to be pouring into me so I can come into places like this and pour into you. I hope you think I have. The way you would see this played out in my life and why you would think it was true is because I get up at the same time every day and sit in the same place if I'm at home, and I do the same 3 things every morning. And I do this for 15 years, and it's helped pour into me so that I'm able to go out and do. So I have a very strong growth plan, and it defines my life. So people would, if you knew me for a minute, people actually make fun of me. Oh, is that Perry's seat? Yeah, I sit at the same place when I'm at home. And I do the same thing every day. So I want you to take a minute, really, you don't have to go as far as I did there. Talk to somebody next to you, pick one of your values, and see how it sounds. How does it sound to you when you're saying it? Do you actually believe it? Is it evidenced? See if you can defend that value to someone else. Go. Just have a couple minutes. Which one, why it's important to you, and how would I see it? How's it played out in you?
It's a pet peeve.
Okay, I hate to break it up, but we're gonna have to stop. But I want to ask you a couple questions. How did it sound coming out? Anybody like the way that sounded? Can you defend it? Remember, people are watching you. They're trying to determine, am I going to give you permission? And this is what they see. So if they're not seeing, somebody said family's a high value. How would that show up? I saw we had one over here, diversity is a high value. How would that show up? How would people know that? Because I'm buying into you to do that. Let me ask you this. Do you think your values change? Yes. Over time? Absolutely. I was looking at mine. I have one in here for one of my top 5 is wisdom. Guarantee it wasn't in my 25-year-old stack. Wish it had been. And another one is here, and top 5 is legacy. Wasn't in my 25-year-old value. I wish it had been. But as my life has changed and my kids are having kids and things are changing in my life, all of a sudden I value wisdom and I want to leave a legacy. And I'm thinking about things like that are high value to me that help me make decisions and guide my behavior. So when you're working with your team, when you're thinking about the people on your team, what are their values? What would their top 5 be? Could you do an exercise like this with them? Would it be something that you could walk through at home with your family and validate with each other what we're doing? I think you'll find it valuable. Has this been valuable for you? Yeah. I really appreciate you being here. Go have a break and then see ya. Thank you. Thank you.